Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited you've joined this webinar because I know you're here for a reason. Maybe you've wanted to plan a surprise trip for a loved one, but you're feeling overwhelmed by logistics. You're unsure where to start. You're worried that you might miss a crucial detail, or simply just don't have the time to pull everything together. I completely get it. Planning a surprise trip can feel like a huge challenge. You want it to be perfect between juggling things with work, personal commitments, and also just the pressure of getting it right can be stressful. And just being fearful of missing any sort of details and wondering if it'll go as planned can also hold you back from planning that trip. And that's exactly why I'm here. I've been in your shoes. I've spent nearly a decade planning trips, not just for myself, but for friends, family, and groups. Since 2015, I've planned trips to over 25 cities in Europe, 9 annual snowboarding trips around North America, put together 5 big group trips over to Europe, as well as, most of all, and important, and why you're here, 5 unforgettable trips that are surprises for my significant other. And what I've found is when surprising someone, it's an experience rather than a materialistic gift that brings you different joy. It's going to bring together some of that connection that you may need. And it's hard to replicate. And some of those memories you're never going to get back. But I know, like I had mentioned, it's not having a desire to go on that trip. It's really planning it in that process of going. And today I'm going to show you how you can effortlessly plan the perfect surprise trip without stress. If it's a birthday, Christmas present, or just because you care, I'm going to guide you through a step by step of how I've done it and make it enjoyable to do. And by the end of our time together, you're going to feel confident, prepared, and ready to create a trip that's going to blow them away, where you're not going to have that stress, you're not going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to be just completely excited. So make sure you have a pen and paper or OneNote or whatever type of notes that you want to take, because this is going to be an exercise. And in this slide, I really want you to write down what problems and challenges have you faced when you've tried booking a trip in the past. Also ask yourself, is there a reason you've never gotten a gift that's an experience or never planned a trip for your significant other? And I want you to think about that because we're going to walk you through step by step how to make this happen. So the promise is we're going to show you how to create a simple yet amazing itinerary. It all comes down to money, right? So we're going to show you how to budget, help manage some of those details, and then also execute that perfect surprise. And I want you to imagine the joy and excitement just on your partner's face. Maybe it's Christmas morning, maybe it's a birthday, when you do reveal that surprise trip. And it's going to help bring you closer together, create those wonderful memories, as well as help strengthen your relationship. Call to action here. I really want you to jot down 3 places that you and your partner have always talked about going and think about those. And this is going to help not only throughout the webinar, but also post webinar when you start to put pen to paper. There goes my mouse. So, some of the benefits of a surprise trip is you get to go on that vacation that you've always talked about. Think about that. Set aside all the different excuses, busy to dos, and I want you to think about the places that you've talked about and just getting away from those things that always come up in life. So, planning can be challenging. I get it. But first, just breaking it down in a step by step process. First thing, pick the destination, right? Then think about how do I want to create an itinerary? And then logistics, right? Like, how am I going to find flights that align with my schedule without spilling the beans? How am I going to decide what makes the most sense logistically from the airport hub I'm in and where I'm going, as well as then surprises? How am I going to do that surprise? And I'm going to show you all those things. Just one example about how this got started and how I wanted to get this started is for my fiance's 30th birthday a couple years ago, I revealed a surprise trip to Turks and Caicos. It was our first trip together, and it made her want to explore many places. Every year since, this has led to an annual surprise trips to places like Portugal, Costa Rica, and most recently, this past September, we went to Greece, where we planned with another couple. And actually, with a wedding coming up, she said, "Hey, Ross, don't give me a surprise trip for my birthday because we just got too much going on." So I had to hold back. So some of the possibilities just to think about is I want you to be able to turn some of those travel dreams into reality and explore some destinations just so you can start to create lifelong memories, not only for this trip, but continuing to go on more trips. And that's where I'm going to walk you through. So I want you to think before we dive in more, are there places that's a direct flight from where you live, or a short drive that you could spend 3 to 7 days, just depending on your upcoming availability? So I want you to start to think of those, and that's really going to help you throughout this and then after. A couple resources that I'll include after in an email is a step-by-step guide, just to help you brainstorm. And that's going to come in an email as well as some examples around Etsy flight cards that I've given, as well as a Turks and Caicos card stock that you can use based on your location. So next, how do we get there? What's the path? What are the steps? What are the secrets? What are the strategies? So first, it all comes down to planning. So you want to, like I'd mentioned, you want to select the perfect destination. And after the webinar, you're going to want to fill out that cheat sheet. And then once you've narrowed down that perfect destination and region, you're going to want to search maybe top 10 locations, just as a start. And then start to think about when you talk about researching activities, accommodations, start to look at things that you may want to do before deciding on that location and what do ballpark costs look like. And then lastly, focus in on what flights cost and what's, again, going back to what's kind of easy to get to, make it simple. And a call to action for this is, of those places that you've written down, that you've discussed, you've wanted to go together, that are a short and direct flight, circle some of those because I think, you're going to start to narrow those down that you've talked about that are logistically going to be easy. So a couple insider tips that I like, you can find best deals through places like Expedia, Booking.com, Priceline. There's others. You could sign up for newsletters. Traveling in off season's really good. A couple travel apps to get you started. TripAdvisor for restaurants. Get your guide for activities, and then Google Flights is a good place to start for flights. There's many more, and I have my top 30 favorite apps that I'll link that you can get in Etsy, and that's a Excel sheet that's really helpful, and I've accumulated those over the 10 years I've been planning trips. And then again, comes down to money, right? How do you want to budget for this? So you want to set a realistic budget, you want to save money, and then you want to make sure you're prioritizing on spending. How do you set that realistic budget? Breaking it down first, flights and transportation, accommodations, dining and meals, activities and tours. If you need travel insurance, that as well as miscellaneous expenses, and any pre-trip purchases that you like. If you want to get some good outfits, I know that's something that we always do. Or if you need something, and I'm here to help with an Amazon store that I've compiled my favorite things over many lessons learned and trial and error. Saving money on travel, always plan ahead, book in advance. Travel in off season, not when it's spring break, not when it's summer break. So the shoulder seasons. Do look at the weather. You don't want to go when it's rainy or monsoon season, and just be flexible. If you want to do all inclusive, that's where you can save, as well as using points, rewards. If you have some of those rewards programs, look and see from credit cards as well as airlines, hotels. And that's where we really can help around points, travel hacking, and then leveraging those apps that I just mentioned and just tailoring it to your situation. So I want you to write out just a ballpark budget for a trip like this. First, just start with the flight. How much do you want to spend on the flight? If you're driving, maybe start with the accommodation, but I think that's a good place to start and keep it simple. Next, prioritizing spending. Think about what you like to do, list it out. What experiences do you want to do first? Don't go straight to Instagram and just follow solely based off that. Sometimes those are traps. So I would focus on what's important to you. And there's different travel app resources that are going to help you find some of these hidden gems. And sometimes they might have multiple excursions packed into one, so you can, have a busy day, but then you have a day to relax. So those are a couple things. And just as a call to action, what do you like to do on vacation? I want you to write those things out because that's going to help you when you are deciding on this destination. So now it's all about managing logistics, right? Keeping keeping the chaos tamed and, planning ahead, this is going to be important. So, like we had touched on, booking flights, accommodations, transportations. So, keeping it a surprise, book on a personal credit card so they can't see. I don't book the refundable one, but I have different credit cards that have travel insurance. So, check your credit cards if you have any to see what travel insurance they offer. If you don't want to book flights prior, I mentioned the Etsy card that I've used that I'll share after. So you can do that and then send that to them. And that way you're not locking in a flight, but you have dates. Stays, I usually wait until we lock in dates. But what I'll do is I'll create a wish list on Airbnb. So after, I surprise them with either that flight or with that Etsy card, they are then being able to see a wish list and getting them excited with different places I've found. I found that that always gets them more excited and gets them to agree to start planning out the trip. So then keeping the surprise, right? This is the whole point, right? You want to make it a surprise. So gift ideas. I know I mentioned the Etsy flight ticket that you can do over email. I know I mentioned a postcard from Turks and Caicos. You also could get a map or maybe a Lonely Planet book from the country. If you could take them out to a dinner that if you're going to Portugal, go to a Portuguese restaurant, maybe a bottle of wine from somewhere like Portugal, just different ideas. And don't tell people. You'd be surprised. Sometimes people will spill the beans. And then keeping it a secret, again, use personal credit cards for flights, accommodations, anything. And if you're going back and forth with the Airbnb host to get answers, make sure it's on a personal account, not ones that's shared or linked to an email that you may share. And remember, planning a surprise trip is an adventure in itself. Enjoy the process, enjoy the learning, right? And after you do it, you're going to have amazing memories that you can look back on. So now you want to manage potential hiccups, right? So backup plans, right? You want to look into dates that but say something does come up or you may miss something. I think just having different options is always good. Flexibility, again, having those schedules, but you also want to make sure that you're teeing in on one or two dates so there aren't excuses where the busy to-dos come up or maybe this person gets married or so on and so forth. Planning far out in advance where it's like, no, we're doing this for ourselves is going to be very important. And then communicating earlier is always good. So understanding, right? Like just in casual conversation, if this is something you're planning, hey, is there somewhere that you want to go, right? Why would you want to go there? What would an ideal trip look like? I think just not asking it right before you do the gift, but just when you're, throughout the year, I think that's a really good thing that I always do, and it helps you understand more. So planning special moments once you're there, this is really important. This is when we were in Costa Rica this past year on a remote work trip, and just sitting on the beach was amazing, right? You want to do some of that destination research. You want to understand what's the best view. Is there a place I can do a romantic dinner at? Is there a best rooftop with views that I can go to eat and then have a great time, right? I think planning different activities are going to be important. So again, going back to the cheat sheet, going back to what I've talked about earlier, aligning with your loved one's interest is going to be really important. And then integrating surprises, right? Like go out of your way to find, okay, is there something that I can do that's romantic on the beach that I can text maybe the number or send an email that's going to help me, right, go over the top and do something that not a lot of people do. And I have a couple examples I can share after. Just a couple romantic gestures, unique activities. We went horseback riding when we were in Turks and Caicos. When we went to Costa Rica, we went four-wheeling around a volcano. These are just unique experiences and things that I knew prior she wanted to do and top things to do that I found through Get Your Guide and online at places like Reddit, as well as TripAdvisor. You can also ask your Airbnb host. And then again, it all comes back to planning ahead, plan those surprises well in advance, coordinate with locals. I think that's key. Leveraging apps that were mentioned before to not overcomplicate things. And then just being organized, right? Having a Google Doc, having a folder. Once you have that, just having, that destination, the flight, what do you like to do? And that'll all come in the cheat sheet. So once you have that Gmail folder, it's going to be simple. You just have everything, route everything over to that. Just to recap, right? Make sure you're doing the destination research. Make sure, right, you're listing out dates, things you want to do, and then travel arrangements. Focus on flights first, accommodations, transportation. Keep it simple. Don't try to go all at it all at once. That's what we do. And here's an example of a Turks and Caicos 7-day itinerary. It seems, it seems pretty well organized, but the first thing I looked at was flights, then accommodations, then how to, what's good to do there. And I broke it down, and you don't have to do it all at once. Budgeting, again, keep it simple. Focus on the flights first. What are you wanting to spend on that? Once you do the surprise, you can then chat more about, how much you want to spend and really just focus on prioritizing those key experiences and what you want to do. And then if you want, you can go back to some of those ways to get different deals. Managing logistics, again, have backup dates, which you've already written down, being organized with those different folders that I mentioned, as well as that cheat sheet that we're going to share afterwards. And then the unforgettable experiences, right? You want to personalize those to your significant other's interest, what they want to do, right? Seeking out some of those unique and local experiences, reaching out, to your host using the apps, and then just taking a step back and creating those moments of connection that maybe you're struggling with. Maybe that's the reason why you're planning this trip is you want to strengthen your relationship. You're stressed out at your job, enjoy those times, put your phone down. Obviously, I had to get a picture of this because it's the Microsoft background and we were in Antelope Canyon, but play the phone game where you put your phone down for an hour, at dinner and just focus on those connections. And it's really going to strengthen your relationship. So now that you know the path, let's talk about how you can get started on planning your perfect surprise trip. So I want to introduce you to Travel Takeoff, the Blueprint to Easy World Travel course. And you're probably thinking, right, this all sounds great to get me started, but what if I have questions along the way or don't want to make any mistakes? And this is why I created this. I wish someone had this when I started my journey 10 years ago, and it would have saved me a lot of time, money, and energy. And I created this for you so you don't have to make the same mistakes and can save time, money, energy. So some of the course benefits, like I mentioned, all comes down to time, money, and energy and stress, right? You want to be able to then plan every trip with confidence, taking out that guesswork. So when you're going over there, you have that peace of mind and you're traveling with ease. You're not stressing out of where are we going to eat? What are we going to do? How much does this cost? Oh no, what are the logistics? Like it's all fully baked. You're getting there, you're on vacation, you're having a good time. And not only is it going to help you on this trip, it's going to improve your overall planning skills. I can tell you from 10 years of planning trips, this has helped me personally, professionally, from a business standpoint, just everything. I can speak to that and wanted to share this picture. Mike and Martine planned their honeymoon using my Turks and Caicos itinerary. They loved it so much that they went back with a big group and used the same itinerary and loved it. And that just goes to show that getting started and planning with this blueprint is going to help you. And we went to Greece this past September and I worked with her on surprising Mike. And it just shows once you do it once, you have the itch and you're going to just start to build more and more memories. So what's inside the course? You have the itinerary creation, and you're probably overwhelmed, stressed when creating an itinerary. And this is going to help include that step-by-step walkthrough of what I do from starting out to saving time, money, and being able to make the most epic trip. Budgeting, you probably struggle honestly with keeping track of all the cost and forecasting everything you need to budget for. I'm going to walk you through my budget checklist, which I've created, and just making sure you stay aligned with your partner. It's a step-by-step process of different tools you can leverage and just things that you can use for best deals, rewards, points, credit cards, miles. And I've also created podcast and blogs episodes on this to help, get you started. And then you have packing. I know that can be a daunting task. I know for my significant other, that's one thing that she's gotten better at. I've gotten better at just from traveling with her, um, because you want to make sure you're organized. So I'm going to walk you through how to pack, prepare, best practices, different lessons learned. I've also created a resource around 10 must-haves for travel, that you can download that's really going to help you there. And then AI. You've probably heard how AI is going to change the world, but you don't know a lot about it or have used it very little. I've been using it since the beginning of 2023, and have been able to really make it a game changer, saving me time, acting as an assistant for travel, throughout my business, throughout traveling personally, and it's just made it so much easier. So there's so many different tools, but I'm going to teach you with my step-by-step process and custom GPTs that I've built out to be able to plan out that itinerary. What are some of the prompts? And it's a great start, but it's not the end all be all. And I want to make sure you're using it correctly. And that's how I'm going to walk you through there. And then just health and safety. Once you get over there, we want to make sure that, right, well, first, take a step back. You're preparing to be healthy over there. And then while you're there, what are some things that you can do, during your trip to stay healthy as well as be safe? And we've created things around that. So a couple things. What's included? Some PDF downloadable bonuses that are included. I know I mentioned these, but these are all going to be step by step that are going to go throughout the different modules. So these resources are going to help you get through the course. They're going to help you after the course and on your travels. And then also itineraries that I've created and used on my trips, over the past couple years. And these are all valued at $477. Next, for the first group and cohort, we're also including exclusive bonuses. And that's going to include exclusive community access. So you're going to get access to the first private group for ongoing support for others within the travel community who take this course. And I'm going to be leading that. And we're going to have weekly live group Q&As with myself. So you're going to get those personalized answers for your planning questions. And look, I've been planning this for 10 years. This is my first time, creating this, and I want to get some feedback, from you. So that's going to be important. And I was in your shoes 10 years ago, and being able to plan all these trips with ease for groups, people have never traveled, and all different types of range of budgets. So you can try to figure it out on your own, but I can promise you it's going to cost you more money in the long run. And my promise to you is that you're going to pay for the course by itself and pay back that money, just through savings on deals, rewards, and leveraging the different resources. So this is really the value that you're getting, is that 6-week weekly live group Q&A with myself, and then lifetime updates. You get access to all the different travel takeoff course updates with new tips at no extra cost. And that's a total of $691 value. So when you look at the course, it's $395. There's also the digital download bonuses, which are $477, the exclusive bonuses, and your total course value is right there at $1,581. But I'm giving this to you for $395, and this is just for the first cohort. So don't miss out on this offer. Like I mentioned, it's for the first 15 people, and you're going to get those exclusive bonuses, the lifetime updates. Spots are going to be limited. And I can tell you right now, the time that you get with me over the course of 6 weeks, that's going to drive a lot of value that you can answer in a more intimate setting of your personalized questions. And after this first cohort, one, you'll get to help shape the course around different areas you want to learn about for some of those updates, learn more. But also after this first cohort, I will be raising prices back to what you saw on the screen. So definitely want to act on this. I think it all comes back to additional support, making sure you're able to get through the course, through having a community with the other people who are signed up, which are going to build relationships. They're going to share stories, lessons learned, right? When they go on a trip, taking pictures. I want it to be a community that you can learn from. And you're sharing those success stories, some of those questions. Again, going back to those weekly live Q&A sessions, that's where I'm the expert. 10 years of experience. I promise I can answer your questions. And I've been in the thick of things for tens of thousands of hours and done this successfully. And I want to make sure that you're traveling successfully as well. And I want you to help, shape future course modules. Your feedback matters. And that's why I'm bringing the course price down to $395 because I do want to get that feedback. I want to help you help me shape the course and get a testimonial so I can grow and help others. And you can be a part of that. And I think that just comes back to being a part of something bigger. So being part of that supporting community that's focused on growing, learning more, and ultimately exploring the world more and more. So, how can you do this? Enroll in the course. From there, you'll get through the course. You'll start to plan your trip. Maybe you'll be so excited that you'll start to think and plan that out. And then be on your way. And you'll get to, again, not stress. You'll get to enjoy the unforgettable journey that you go on, not only for this trip, but for many more. And I share this picture because thinking through things, just reflecting, being at peace in the Monteverde forest in Costa Rica, watching the sunset in this awesome Airbnb. There's a surprise trip that we planned. Just so you don't give yourself excuses, we just got engaged. We were moving. I had just gotten back from a snowboarding trip all within 2 weeks. So this is something that I want to make sure that you can get to go and enjoy. So, how can you do this? Go ahead and join. Wanted to share this is what the bonuses are. You have that access to the exclusive community, and take the stress out of planning. I want you to make it an unforgettable memory. So go ahead and enroll and get ready to change your life because it's not only going to change for this one trip that you're going to surprise, and you know, you may be struggling with that relationship. You may be stressed out at work, right? You may be just looking for something that you want to do to improve your life. And this is the first step forward. And I promise that once you plan this, you and your partner, or just you, if you are single, are going to want to continue to travel, plan more. It'll make you a more well-rounded person, and it's going to help you plan other things in life and improve. And I'm excited for you to join me on this journey. So go ahead and click here and join the course. And if you have any questions, we're here to help support, and we look forward to working with you all. Thanks. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll stick around for questions.